What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters. Welcome to No Lights Metal. It's time for a rock update. That's right, time for a rock update. This is all rock, not really any metal involved here. Just some stuff outside the normal metal stuff that I usually listen to. Some of it, is hard rock, but there's a little bit of everything in here when it comes to, rock. So we're just going to get right into this. I have a lot to show. I picked up a few April Wine albums recently. I picked up 3 of the 4 that I'm missing in the last few months. I'm still missing their first album. Really wish I could find that one, but it just keeps escaping me. Anyhow, this is April Wine, One for the Road, live album from 1985. This one came out after Animal Grace, but it's much harder rocking than Animal Grace, and I think it might have been recorded in a year before it. Pretty sure it was recorded in '84. Regardless, it's a very good live album. It supercharges the songs that were kind of given too much studio sheen, but which is what I like about live albums, especially from '70s bands and bands like this. The live energy is just, gives the songs a new dimension, and that's what's great about this particular album in April Wine. But yeah, you've got your your big hits on here. They've got Sign of the Gypsy Queen and Roller and I Like to Rock and Just Between You and Me and all those big songs that they had become popular worldwide with on at this particular time. So great album, one that just doesn't show up very often around here. So pick that one up. It's on Capitol Records. Yeah, this was just more of a space filler than anything else, but I got it cheap, so I grabbed it. This is a kind of a best of release. It's the best of April Wine ballads. So I listened to it once. I put a sleeve on it, and it'll probably stay within my April Wine collection because I am just not a huge ballads guy. I don't mind ballads. Sometimes they fit perfectly on an album. I can think of several albums where the ballad just works with the rest of the album. But just to listen to the whole album of ballads, it's just not really my thing. I'd rather have an album called, the best of April Wine, the heavy songs, but whatever. Still wanted to have it. It's a cool cover. It's gatefold, so picked it up fairly inexpensive, and it's in pristine condition. And thought I had one more April Wine in here. Oh, I left it over there. Hang on. Okay, sorry about that. I was actually playing this one yesterday. This is April Wine. This is Review Preview, which is a promotional only kind of a best of compilation. So you've got songs from First Glance and Harder Faster from the late 70s. So you get Roller, I Like to Rock, Say Hello, and a cover of 20th Century Schizoid Man. And then the preview is a pre-release for the songs from The Nature of the Beast. So All Over Town, Tell Me Lies, Sign of the Gypsy Queen, and Just Between You and Me. So very, very cool. Just again, one that doesn't pop up very often because it was only released as a promotional record, sent to mostly radio stations and whatnot. So picked that one up as well. So the only one I'm missing now is the very first self-titled April Wine album. So keep my eyes open for that. Next, we're going to get into some Runaways. And now the Runaways. This is a recent reissue. This reissue sounds good, but whoever did the artwork did a crappy job on it. If you look closely at the girls' faces, they're all look like what do they call those things? Oompa Loompas, except for Joan Jett, who looks like she's jaundiced. But the rest of them, yeah, Oompa Loompas. Completely orange faces. Terrible, terrible. I know how that happens when they recreated this cover, probably from a CD rather than from the original vinyl. They de-screened it, and they didn't bother to color correct it or clean it up or do anything that should have been done to it, other than possibly cleaning up the black in the background. Frankly, I would have tried to make the skin tones actual skin tone, but that's just me being an artist and that irritating me. So same with the back cover. The pictures are a little better here again, but all the girls are orange. It's just poor printing, poor layout design, whatever you want to call it. But anyhow, I'm glad to finally have this on vinyl. This is just one that's been out of my, escaped my collection forever, and finally glad to have it. I'm going to keep an eye out for an original just because this cover, it really does need some work. Yeah, poor Lita Ford here, man. She's She's the wife of an Oompa Loompa there. So right along with that, this is 1985 album from Joan Jett, Blackhearts. This is Album. It's an okay album. It's never been my favorite Joan Jett album. I actually like the cover art better than the actual album itself. It's, you know, you usually mix a straightforward guitar-based rock and roll with a heavy influence from the 50s and 60s, like Joan always has been. But like I said, I dig it. I have it on CD and now I have it on vinyl. Very cool cover art. You won't be able to see it in the video, but basically the yellow background is matte, and then the figure here has got a gloss over top of it. And yeah, it's never going to show, especially not with the sleeve over it. Let's pull the sleeve off, see if I can get like a glare so you can see what I'm talking about. There you go. You kind of see the Joan's got a gloss varnish over her, and the rest of it's kind of matte. But anyhow, since I have it open, here's the gatefold. And there goes my air conditioner. Sorry about the noise. It is hot today, so the air conditioner is going to kick off and on. Staying in the Runaways mode, this is the latest album from Cherie Currie. Again, much in the same vein as you might expect from Joan Jett, just straightforward rock and roll from the former Runaways singer, who looks very good still. Anyhow, you know, it's not going to blow doors down because it's nothing, you know, super spectacular or new, or she's not like, you know, doing anything innovative. She's just doing straightforward rock and roll. So if you like the Runaways, if you like Joan Jett, you're probably going to like this Cherie Currie album. As usual, it's a mix of originals and some covers on here. So let's see if I can remember what the covers are here. It's been a couple days since I listened to this one. Shades is a cover. Dragging the Line is a cover. I think Breakout is a cover. And there's a song on here. That's why I didn't realize until I obviously bought the record. But there's a song here called Rock and Roll Oblivion, written by Lanny Cordola. Lanny Cordola, who of course played in Magdalene and House of Lords. Just a great guitar player. He's got several solo albums out, you know, in the vein of like, you know, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai kind of stuff. Killer guitar player, and he wrote that particular song on here. But yeah, Cherie Currie, straightforward rock and roll. This was a record store day. I don't know if it was exclusive to record store day or what it was, but I didn't get to go to record store day this year, but my buddy Bill from Rocks Records out in California did, and his wife, and she grabbed this one for me, so very cool. 180 gram translucent red vinyl, produced by Matt Sorum. Features Slash, Billy Corgan, Duff McKagan, and more. I don't really care who the guest artists are. Guest artists don't make an album good. I got kind of on a Grand Funk kick for a while, so I grabbed this one when I was out in Arizona, and actually Randy Michaud, Prog, hooked me up with this one. This is a live album, Caught in the Act, Double Live, a later period album from them, and listening to this double live album put me in the mood for some, you know, Grand Funk. So I started listening to some Grand Funk, and eventually pulled out some Mark Farner solo stuff, and then realized I only really had one Mark Farner album, so I started finding more of them. So I got this one here, Mark Farner. This is Just Another Injustice from 1987. Let's see if we got a year in here. 1988. And this is one of his Christian albums. Very good, straightforward hard rock, a little poppy here and there. You know, not much far off from what you would expect from, you know, later day Grand Funk. Great guitar work, hooky songs, Airborne Ranger, little blues here and there. You've got the Judgment Day blues on here. So it's what you might expect from, you know, guitarist Mark Farner. And then this is, I believe, his first solo album. Looking rather sexy there, Mark. But yeah, Mark Farner, the solo album. Again, this is just straightforward rock and roll. Really not that far off from what you might expect from, you know, Grand Funk. Probably if you would have slapped the Grand Funk name on here, most people wouldn't have batted an eye. But there is some guest guitar players on here as well, including Bob Kulick, who of course went on to play for Kiss as a shadow guitar player for a long time, among others. And his brother Bruce became Kiss's guitar player in the 80s. But Dick Wagner's on here as well, another great guitar player who was often, you know, in the shadows, who's played guitar on Kiss albums and Aerosmith albums as well. So Mark Farner, self-titled solo album, and then one more, the Mark Farner Band, No Frills. This is a little more bluesy rock, straightforward rock and roll, not hard rock for the most part, just, you know, bluesy rock and roll. Far better album cover than the, than the other one. Yeah, I actually didn't know anything of this one. I hadn't really ever heard it before, so I'm fairly new to this one, so I've only heard it once so far. Quite enjoyed it, so I'll be spinning it two more times before I put it on the shelves. Next up, Jimi Hendrix Smash Hits. This is original U.S. pressing. I bought this for one reason mainly, because I have you know, the recent reissue of this that sounds fantastic. But I used to own this back in the day, this exact one right here, the U.S. pressing. There's the back cover, by the way. But the original came with a poster, and you never find them with the posters anymore because they just, people hung them, right? Well, this one actually has the poster, and let's see, first of all, it's got the original Warner Reprise sleeve. I have it in a different sleeve, but I'll keep the sleeve with it. And then it has the poster hidden in here somewhere. There it is. This is, and this poster was hung up too. It's got a couple of tack marks on it, but otherwise it's in really good condition. There's your Jimi Hendrix poster that came with the original pressing in the U.S. of Jimi Hendrix Smash Hits. So yeah, it wasn't expensive. It was, I think it's $10 or less. I can't remember now. It was, might have been $7. I don't know. It wasn't very much. I really did buy it mostly for the poster though. Getting into some prog now. This is kind of weird. I bid on this one on eBay. Bid the minimum. Wasn't much. I expected to get overbid, so I just ignored it, figuring that I would, you know, lose it. And in the meantime, I had this upgrade copy that I picked up when I was out in Phoenix at a store out there. And while I was in Phoenix, I ended up winning this one on eBay. So I didn't pay much for either one of them. I think this one was $15, which was in a used original pressing in a store. This one here I got on eBay for much less than that. Nobody else bid on it, so I got the 180 gram remastered version and the original version all around the same time. Not intentionally, just worked out that way. But yeah, you can see some slight differences in the cover. You know, this is the cover I remember owning back in the day. This is the, I don't know if this is the original UK cover or what, but you see the text down here almost unreadable in the blue field up here. You got the Columbia logo up here, so I don't know. Regardless, this is the one I remember having on Harvest back in the day. All right, next up is, let's see, we got two more. Let's do this one next. This is a Canadian rock band. I don't want to call them a hard rock band, although they do have a few hard rockers here and there. They're kind of all over the place. They kind of have a southern rock vibe. They're kind of bluesy at times. They're just kind of all over the place. And this is one of those bands that Greg DeEgg or Blackmore Rules turned me on to. Sent me a few of their records in the mail, and I kind of dig them. They're different. They're not going to, if you're into heavy metal and you're into that like 70s hard rock metal stuff, might not be your cup of tea. But if you're just into good solid 70s hard rock, with the painted tapestry of styles that a lot of bands were into back then, this band is very good for, in that regards. So anyhow, From the Fire, this one's from 1973. Straightforward rock and roll from the Stampeders, Canadian hard rock band, whatever you want to call it. And finally, this is another one of those record store day releases. Always wanted to have this cover. This is the UK cover for the first Yes album. Yes! 50th anniversary edition, analog cut by Kevin Gray at Coherent Studios, 108 gram neon orange vinyl, limited to 6,500 copies, record store day exclusive. 6,500 copies, yeah, it's not so exclusive. But glad to have this. I really always wanted to have this one. It sounds fantastic. It's the original mix of the record. I'm not sure if the US had a different mix than the UK. I didn't actually spend that much, that long comparing them, but it's definitely crisp, very crisp. Here's the, man, you just hear the crackle. This thing is so new. So there's the gatefold, which I assume looks like the original gatefold. Like I said, I've never owned an original UK pressing of this. Always wanted to. I do remember the old UK Atlantics, center ring, and that's definitely it. And like I just read, it is a orangish translucent color. It almost looks pink with this lighting on it, but it's because it's kind of yellow lighting. definitely an orange color. Classic, yes. You know, UK prog rock. This here was early for them, so it was a little less proggy, a little more poppy, but still, it's yes, it's classic yes, and I'm so glad to finally have this in my collection after so many years. And then here is the lyric sheet that came with it as well. So very cool collection of stuff. I'm glad that one popped up for Record Store Day. Glad to have it in my collection. So that's it. Appreciate y'all watching. To all my metal friends who expect me to show metal, I apologize, but you know, this is just some stuff that I listen to outside of the normal metal spectrum. So my next videos will be a metal update video, as well as a new video with Trog that we recently recorded for 1975, I believe it is. So that's it. Talk to you soon. God bless. Stay strong.